What's up guys, Jay here, and today we're going to dive into how to play the Scout class in DeepRockGalactic. We're going to talk about the playstyle of the Scout, the weapons and gadgets he has access to, and the mission types that he excels at when compared to the other classes. If you're new to this series, we've already covered the Gunner and Driller classes, so check out those videos if you haven't yet. But if you guys are ready, let's zip through the air with DeepRock's own spider dwarf, the Scout. By the way, if you want to see more gaming videos, subscribe to the channel, that way it's easier to find my content. Now let's get into it.
Afraid of the dark? No need. You got me.
So, you want to play Scout. Well, like the other classes, it's important to understand exactly what your responsibilities are in terms of team composition. Thankfully, the Scout's job is pretty simple and easy to understand. The main objective the Scout has is surveying the cave systems and making it easier for the team to understand the geography of the map. With a utility tool that helps illuminate the map and a traversal tool that gives him the most mobility in the game, the Scout can zip himself around the map in record time. All these traits combined with his effective and easy to use weapons make the Scout, in my opinion, a great class to start off with if you're picking the game up for the first time. He's easy to learn and a great starting off point if you're coming from other FPS titles.
From A to D, skipping B and C.
Just like the other classes, the Scout has an array of weapons that are curated to his specialization. As I said earlier, his weapons are easy to use and have less intricacies than the kinds of weapons we've seen so far. That's not to say that his weapons are less effective, they're just not as over the top. He doesn't have a handheld railgun or a microwave contraption, he just has guns. Now, there are some options that are a bit more interesting than others, to be sure, but nothing quite as grandiose or hazardous to your own life as what we've seen so far. But with all that said, like we did with the other classes, we're going to go over each weapon and piece of equipment the Scout has, the kinds of situations they're useful in, and some upgrades you may consider using. And remember also that we won't be covering overclocks. The first primary weapon the Scout has in his arsenal is the Deepcore GK2 Assault Rifle. By far the most simplistic primary weapon we've seen for a class so far, the Deepcore is a standard issue assault rifle that should be pretty easy for anyone to adjust to if they're coming from any other FPS game. Point, shoot, reload, shoot some more. With a moderate rate of fire, good stopping power, and effective at medium to somewhat long range, the Deepcore is a perfectly serviceable weapon that is a great jumping off point for the rest of the Scout's arsenal. If you want to use the Deepcore, upgrades like hollow point bullets or hardened rounds can give it significantly more punch, while Battle Frenzy can help you be even more mobile. Next up on the list is the M1000 Classic Semi-Auto Rifle. This one's for you lovers of classic cowboy weapons out there. The M1000 is used for longer range encounters. It's also one of the few weapons in the game to have an alternate firing mode. Holding the fire button down will cause the weapon to enter focus mode. In this mode, shots fired have perfect accuracy and deal double damage, but consume 2 rounds at a time. It also requires a brief charge-up time indicated by the crosshair rotating. While in focus mode, the screen zooms in slightly to help you aim, and you can cancel this mode by reloading or sprinting. All this translates to the M1000 being the closest thing to a sniper rifle that's available in the game right now. It has great range and gives you the option to increase your damage at the cost of burning through more ammo. If you want to bring the M1000, some upgrades to consider are Killer Focus for more focus shot damage, Hitting Where It Hurts for stun power, and Killing Machine for faster reloads. The third primary weapon the Scout has is the DRAC-25 Plasma Carbine. Functionally, this weapon is pretty similar to the Deepcore Assault Rifle. However, there are a few noteworthy differences. First, similar to the Gunner's minigun and the Driller's Plasma Charger, the Plasma Carbine feeds from a single ammo pool and has an overheating mechanic. When firing the carbine, each shot produces heat. After firing for an extended period of time, the weapon will jam, rendering it inoperable for a short time. Secondly, the shots fired by the Plasma Carbine travel a little slower than the Deepcore, so you have to lead your shots slightly if the target is farther away. Basically, think of the Plasma Rifle from the Halo franchise, and you should have a good understanding of this weapon. If you're using the Plasma Carbine, upgrades like improved thermals and Gen 2 cooling system can keep the gun from overheating as much, and overcharged PCF can give the gun a chance to shock on hit. Unlike the Gunner and Driller, the Scout's secondaries have a little bit more impact on his compatibility. Where the Gunner and Driller have their secondaries primarily for cleanup, the Scout's secondaries are more intertwined with his combat style. The first secondary weapon the Scout has is the jury-rigged boomstick.
This is my boomstick!
Another very simple weapon, the boomstick is a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun that excels at close-range combat. The boomstick has a very high chance to stun at close range as well as a very wide spread. While not being particularly flashy, it is very effective and will help you take chunks out of those annoying Praetorians. If you are using the boomstick, upgrades like improved stun and improved blast wave can make the gun have more stopping power, and Fear the Boomstick can make the gun more effective for large groups. Shop smart. Shop S smart. If you want something with a little more flair for the dramatic, the next option you have is the Zhukov NUK-17s, which I am going to refer to as the machine pistols from here on out because that name is way too annoying to remember. Anyway, the machine pistols are the only weapon in the game right now that is a dual-wielded weapon. Both of the pistols have separate ammo counters, which is consolidated into one counter on the player's HUD. Because of this unique aspect, the ammo for this weapon is a little weird. Basically, for every 2 ammo the gun uses, only 1 bullet is fired out and only 1 bullet's worth of damage is being dealt. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you use this weapon, you'll understand what I mean. In any event, the machine pistols are a great option for a medium-range sidearm, and they make you feel like a dwarf version of John Wick. If you want to use them, upgrades like high-capacity mags and extended ammo bags can give you more bullets to shoot, and hollow point bullets can give those shots more stopping power. The third secondary weapon in the Scout's arsenal is the Nishanka Bolt Shark X80 crossbow. Try saying that 3 times fast. The crossbow is a single-shot weapon that requires a reload after every shot. It also has a very unique mechanic that, with certain modifications, it's capable of firing a wide range of secondary bolt variants that each possess a unique effect. These bolts are obtained exclusively in the first tier of the weapon's modifications and have their own ammo pool. The options for these secondary bolts are pheromone bolts, which can actually cause the bugs to fight each other, the chemical bolts, which infect the targets, making them blow up when they die, and the taser bolts, which can electrify targets and can even arc between each other. Fancy bolts aside, the crossbow is a good long-range option to deal with bugs that like to keep their distance. Depending on the secondary bolt you pick, it can also have a great deal of utility. The last interesting thing about the crossbow is that if you miss your shots, you can actually pick the bolts back up, similar to the drillers throwing axes. On top of your choice of secondary bolts, some other good upgrades would be broadhead bolts or reinforced string for more stopping power, and radio transmitter module can actually let you get your missed shots back from range. The Scout, like the other classes, also has several options for grenades that he can bring along on missions. The Inhibitor Field Generator, or IFG, will stick to whatever surface it touches. After a brief delay, it will emit an inhibitor field, which will slow down enemies and increase their damage taken. What's more, enemies inside the inhibitor field are considered as electrocuted, despite not actually taking any damage. The Cryo Grenade makes a large icy explosion, capable of instantly freezing enemies. The grenade will roll and explode on a timer, or instantly detonate if it hits a target. The Pheromone Canister showers all affected enemies with pheromones. Who could have guessed? Enemies who are affected with the pheromones become targets for each other to attack, which will cause massive infighting amongst the bugs, which is just hilarious to watch. Finally, the Voltaic Stun Sweeper is an electric boomerang. Yep, you heard that right. It's able to hit 9 enemies in a single throw before it breaks. If it doesn't hit anything, it flies back to the player to be used again without wasting any ammo. Targets hit by the Voltaic Stun Sweeper are stunned and electrocuted at the same time, making it a good choice for crowd-controlling hordes. The Scout also has access to the flare gun as his support tool. Flares fired by the flare gun are much more powerful than the standard ones thrown by the dwarves. They burn brighter and last longer. The flares can also stick into surfaces like the walls and ceilings if fired directly at them. However, if the angle is too extreme or the terrain supporting the flare is destroyed, it will fall out and hit the ground. The range of the flare gun is quite long, making it super useful at illuminating the cave systems and makes any mission where you are in a large room much more manageable. The last piece of the Scout's equipment puzzle is his traversal tool, the grappling hook. Probably the easiest traversal tool to explain. Just point, shoot, and be zipped to where you're pointing. When the hook is fired, there's a tiny delay before you're pulled to the targeted location. You can keep holding the trigger to stay suspended in place, but you can't really do anything other than just hang there. A gauge on the weapon indicates the recharge time, which by default is a few seconds. The grappling hook also has this weird thing where it kind of ignores gravity. Seriously, you could be falling straight down and use this thing at a perfect right angle and all of your momentum will just shift laterally. You can even avoid taking fall damage by using the hook straight down, because that's how gravity works, I guess? While the grappling hook is very useful, the one thing that separates it from the other classes is that it's kinda selfish. What I mean by that is that the gunner, driller, and engineer all have traversal tools that the other members of the team can utilize. The grappling hook is very effective, but only the Scout can benefit from it. This is by no means an issue, it's just something to be aware of if you're going to play the Scout.
Keep them sights off me. I'll keep the team alive.
So the Scout has good weapons, excellent mobility, and a wide array of utility. That being said, what kinds of situations are the Scout best suited for, and what kinds of missions are best suited for him? Well, firstly, egg hunt missions are a good choice because the eggs can be in very tough to reach places, which the Scout can easily grapple to. Along the same lines, point extraction missions are also a good choice for similar reasons, since the aquaric gems are also located in the terrain. Finally, salvage operations are a good choice too, since you need to cover a large area to find the mule pieces. You can also effectively use use the flare gun in point extractions and salvage operations since you're mainly in one large room. But just remember, you can play the Scout on any mission type so long as you're having fun. So, what do you guys think about the Scout? Do you think you would like zipping around like Spider-Man, or would you get too much motion sickness? Let me know down below. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please be sure to give it a like because it tells me which types of videos you guys want to see. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next Friday for another video.